Welcome to another insightful video here. What's going on with the stock market? So the market has been selling off in the last couple of days, and in this video I'm going to present to you where I think price is going as we enter into Nvidia's earnings. So tomorrow is the main event of the week, which is Nvidia's earnings, and it's going to be something that is going to move the market in one direction or the other. So the hopes of the bulls right now rest on the shoulders, the big shoulders of Nvidia. So Nvidia or Nvidia, whatever you call it, has been the company that has held the stock market from 2023 during the AI boom to now. So let's see what they do tomorrow. But without much ado, I'll just share my screen here and I'll show you guys where I think price is going, and I'll also give you my prediction for Nvidia's earnings tomorrow, and we shall see how it goes. All right, so let's look at how the SPY is performing right now. That is the ETF that tracks the S&P 500. So currently, what I see here for the SPY is that we finally broke the best. We're able to achieve a huge milestone finally after several attempts of trying. So yesterday, the bears were able to break below the 50 EMA, 50 SMA on the daily, which has been a big area for the bulls. Like the bulls have held the line. That's this red line so far. And every single time the bears brought the market there, they were able to buy it up and push it back up. But yesterday, they finally broke below it, which is a significant change in market structure, right? In my earlier video last week, I talked about a potential head and shoulders, and finally that head and shoulders has triggered. So you see here, I talked about this in Thursday's video. So make sure you check that video in the video section here. So over here we have this head and shoulders, and this head and shoulders broke, like we got the break below this red line. That was the 50 year SMA, and then we finally broke below it today. So where is price heading from here on? So right now, what I think is that the next logical area where price can head to is the 100 SMA on the daily, which is 651.87, right? So tomorrow, I believe that going into the day, I believe the futures market will open red, and we are going to go down here and test. So in the morning, we're probably going to test here, hold the 100, and then if Nvidia earnings comes and is good, we'll start recovering here. We'll start recovering, putting in some kind of a green candle. So it's going to be something that we are going to be watching tomorrow to see what happens. So we are going to start in, I believe we are going to start red, and then from there, we are going to get that kind of recovery if Nvidia's earnings is good. That is, if it reports good earnings and the guidance is good. I believe they are going to report good earnings, but the most important detail that Wall Street is going to be looking at is the guidance, right? Their guidance has to be strong. In this right now, the sentiment around AI is a little bit wobbly, right? Because there's a lot of negative statements about AI bubble, a whole lot of things about data centers not having enough energy and power to run what they want to do, a whole host of things going on. So Nvidia needs to come out tomorrow and get out of the gates and produce a very good earnings report, right? Specifically the earnings. So so this is where I see price going, and then we can get a bounce, right? So after tomorrow's earnings, if it's good, we are going to get a bounce, and I believe that bounce is going to bring us somewhere here to the top of this trend line. And then we are going to get the job numbers that comes in on Thursday. On Thursday, that's going to be on the 20th. We are going to see that we are going to get the job numbers, and that job numbers is going to be critical, because if the job numbers comes in worse than expected, that is, although it's bad, I think it's going to be good for the market in the sense that it's going to put the Fed in a box. And that box is going to be, they are going to be forced to cut interest rate. However, if that number comes in strong, better than expected. So let's check out the earnings. Let's check out Market Watch here. So let's check our market watch. So over here, you are going to see that we are going to be getting the jobless claims number on the 20th. Okay. And the estimate, the forecast is 225,000. If the numbers comes in, worse than this, 225 is going to be something around maybe 230,000, 250,000, something of that sort. That is going to be something that is going to force the Fed to cut interest rate in December. Right now, the statements that we had last week and this week was that the Fed members are saying that they are not sure about interest rate cuts in December. So these jobless claims numbers, if it comes in bad, it's going to show that, okay, the economy is weakening, the Fed are behind, they have to cut interest rates. So that's going to put the Fed under pressure. However, if they saw, although it's going to be a bad number, it's going to be good for the market, right? In the long term, it's going to be good for the market, as in not long term per se, as in December, because the next interest rate cut decision, I believe, is on December 10th. So based on this, the Fed will say, okay, you know what? Hold on a minute. The job numbers are bad. We need to cut interest rate in December. And that's what is going to lift up the market. Okay. So that's how I see this playing out, and we shall see how it goes. However, if the opposite happens, let's say this job numbers comes and is better than expected, as in anything lower than 225,000, it's not going to bode well for the market, because it's going to mean that, okay, the Fed can chill and relax and figure out what they want to do, because the economy, the job market is still showing strength. So they don't need to rush to cut interest rates. So that's what it's going to mean. So the first thing the market needs tomorrow, the first good news it needs tomorrow, is a solid earnings report by Nvidia. Anything showing weakness in the guidance is going to cause the market to sell off significantly. So we shall see how it goes. Okay. All right. So that's how I see. So I believe that we are going to get some kind of a relief bounce coming in if Nvidia beats earnings. However, if Nvidia's earnings is bad, like for some reason their guidance is bad, then what's going to happen is that we are going to get a break below the 100 SMA on the SPY, and we are going to head down. Okay, so now that we've looked at SPY, let's also look at the VIX, the volatility index, VIX. So volatility index is what? So anytime the volatility index goes up, the market sells off. In the last video that I posted last week, I talked about a possible breakout in the volatility index, and we got that breakout and we got that move from so it was a break of this area, and then we broke it. Now we are heading to this area. So this is a critical trend line. So over here, anytime the VIX has come here, it has struggled to break. So if tomorrow we are to get a break, a crack of this 25.80, we are going to get a move to the $30 mark, which is going to be bad for the market. That means that we are going to get more pressure in the market. We are going to get sell into that 100 SMA on the SPY and even beyond, right? So over here on the VIX is what I call supply zone. Supply zone is an area of resistance, right? So you see that any single time price has come here, is bounced, it rejected. So here, rejection number 1, rejection number 2, 3, 4, and 5. So if we get, like, if tomorrow Nvidia beats earnings, so what the game plan I'm thinking. I think that we are going to push, we are going to get a push into this area, and then the VIX is going to wait for Nvidia earnings. If it's good, then to start retracing, similar to what it did here in the past, and then we are going to get that rally recovery in the market, right? So we shall see how that plays out. But if we break out of this zone, then it's big trouble for the market. So I believe that this zone is going to serve as a supply zone, and that's going to cause the market to recover and rally from there. So watch the VIX very well. Watch the $30 mark. That is 29.36. Let's round it off to $30. What that $30 mark. So from 25.80 to 29.36 is the area that we are going to be watching in what I call the supply zone, right? So supply zone is an area where price has come in the past and has rejected. So somewhere here should get the job done. So we shall see how that plays out. So I'll put it at 30, approximately $30. somewhere here. We are going to see how that plays out in the coming days here. Okay. All right. So next thing that I'm going to be watching is that how is the chart for Nvidia looking? So Nvidia is a company that is going to be posting their earnings tomorrow, and the market is the most valuable company in the world. So if Nvidia fails, earnings is a disappointment. You know that the market will be in big trouble. So as a technician and as a student of the market, a market participant, what I've always seen is that the market revolves in opposites, right? So let's look at this. Nvidia sold off from here, from its all-time highs when it got to the 1.5 trillion valuation mark to where it is today. Is what? More than 15% decline. So ask yourself this question. Do you think that Nvidia, who has been selling off for the last couple of weeks and is declined by 15%, is going to continue selling off after earnings? I don't think so, right? I don't think it's going to happen. But anyway, so if I was a betting person, I'm going to bet to the upside that we are going to get a reversal to the upside once the earnings report is released tomorrow. So whatever it takes, Jason Wang and his team needs to make sure that they post very good earnings, and most importantly, the guidance, right? The guidance has to be good. And you see that Nvidia has already pulled back to the 100. So here, I believe that it's going to consolidate tomorrow, hold this level, and then if the earnings comes in and is good, you are going to get that push. You are going to get that push. You're going to get like a green candle that pushes this up. So this, if this happens, is going to lift the market and cause the market to recover. And then we are going to wait for the jobs numbers. So this is what is going to happen. So we have something like, let's say we get a gap or we get a candle, but still it's not out of the woods yet. We can get into a scenario where we have something like this, a head and shoulders on Nvidia, and then we are going to wait for the job numbers. If the job numbers is for any reason bad and the market does not like it, we can still come back down and then put that head and shoulders my trigger. So we shall see how this happens. But for now, what I'm going to be watching for Nvidia is Nvidia going to hold this upsloping trend line? This is a mini trend line that it needs to hold, and also hold the 100 SMA, right? I think that when all is said and done, by after the earnings report tomorrow, we are going to see it holding this 180 level, and is going to recover tomorrow, and that's going to lift the market. So we shall see how it goes. Fingers crossed for the bulls. But if Nvidia fails in the earnings, we are going to get a crack below this, and then we are going to head down. So this can take Nvidia all the way down to 165, this area. So this is a critical area. This is a double bottom, 165, and then from there 152-ish, which is the which is close to the this year breakout area from the Liberation Day low. So that's where I'm seeing. So if you get a downside, 165, 152 is what I'm going to be looking at. So we are going to see how it goes tomorrow. So all eyes will be on Nvidia earnings tomorrow, and if they beat, we are going to get a recovery in the market. And I believe that with a 15% decline, I don't see it declining further tomorrow. Who knows? I might be wrong, but if I'm a betting person, I'm going to bet to the upside. Again, this is not financial advice, but I believe that we wait and see, and we can execute on it after the earnings on Thursday. Okay, right. So the next one that I'm looking at is that also in the semiconductor industry is the SMH. So the SMH has been weak. Let's look at it here. SMH has been weak. That's the semiconductor ETF due to the sell-off in Nvidia, and that one is even trading below the 50, right? It's been trading below the 50. So Nvidia is weaker than it because Nvidia is almost at the 100. It's at the 100, and this is at the 50. So here, this already triggered the head and shoulders, and is breaking so far. So we shall see what happens tomorrow with Nvidia's earnings. If it's good, then I believe that this is going to recover and remount this 100 SMA and go back up. But if it fails, then we are going to get more decline to the downside. So on Wall Street, there's a saying that as the semis goes, so does the market, right? So the hopes of the bulls and the entire stock market rests on Nvidia, right? If Nvidia does well, everything is going to bring back animal spirits into the market and going to cause the market to recover to the upside. Okay, so next one is AMD. So AMD is also in the semiconductor space. So this is a type of trade where I'm going to look to take this trade as a day trade tomorrow, because I see AMD here. So you see how you see this beautiful head and shoulders, right, forming here. So this needs to trigger. So the measured move. So you take the highs of this, the head to the neckline. You take it here, bring it here. If AMD is to continue selling, oh, this is perfect. So it goes from here to the 100 what? 100 SMA, 186. And you can't make this up, because this comes exactly what to the 100 and exactly to these highs, right? And that's where we got the breakout when they had their earnings, and also when they had that open AI deal, it caused it to gap up and it has stayed here. So we shall see what happens tomorrow. So if Nvidia's earnings is bad, this is going to sell. This is going to start heading down to the 50 SMA. So this is something that I'm looking at. This is a nice setup for a shot to the downside, but it could also be a setup where if Nvidia recovers, it might rise. But even if Nvidia does well, this might be a time for AMD to pull back and possibly come down to the 100 and fill the gap at some point. We shall see how that plays out in the coming days, right? And last but not the least, in the same semiconductor space is MU. So we traded MU this week here. MU has been good. Traded it on Friday. It was a beautiful trade. Traded it on Monday in the day trading service. Took the profit off the table, and then we see this decline here at the topping tail. I've been talking about this parallel channel, and now we are breaking below the 20 SMA. So this is setting up for a short opportunity, right? Where I see MU coming all the way down to 217 tomorrow, or if Nvidia earnings is bad and it fails. So we shall see how this plays out. But these are some high probability trades that I'm looking at. So I'm checking out AMD, SMH, and then MU. But all this hinges on how Nvidia performs tomorrow after the earnings. So I hope this was insightful. So make sure you like the video, and if you have not subscribed, please subscribe, and also do me a favor by sharing this video with your friends and family or anybody that is interested in learning about the market. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Have a good day. Bye-bye.